Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're unpacking a highly actionable toolkit for maximizing your study endurance and completely curing burnout. And the best part? All of these strategies are drawn directly from the grueling, real-world experiences of a medical student who pushed his mental limits to the absolute max. So let's jump right into his proven methods.
Because, let's be honest, we've all been there. You know that universal feeling, right? Sitting at a desk for hours, battling that creeping exhaustion, only to look at the clock and realize you haven't actually absorbed a single word. You're totally wiped out, yet completely unproductive. It's kind of the ultimate trap of the modern learner.
So, to solve this, we're going to walk through a structured playbook today. 1. Maximizing your study endurance. 2. The focus and action traps. 3. The law of diminishing returns. And 4. Diagnosing and beating burnout.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, maximizing your study endurance.
Building this baseline endurance actually requires a highly intentional setup from the literal second you wake up. We usually tell ourselves things like, oh, I need to eat breakfast first, or I gotta hit the gym. Well, our source material suggests the exact opposite. Skip the morning excuses. By sitting down at your desk immediately after waking up, you're capitalizing on your brain being incredibly fresh, harnessing all that raw willpower before decision fatigue even has a chance to set in.
Okay, so once you're actually at your desk, you've got to ruthlessly minimize distractions. First up, know exactly what you're doing by having your entire week planned beforehand. Then comes the really hard part, physically detaching from your phone by leaving it in a completely different room. From there, you want to implement focus hours. These are strict blocks of time using apps on Zen mode for about 4 to 5 sessions a day, where your mind is locked on to a specific objective, like finishing an entire appendix in 2 hours. You think of absolutely nothing else until it's done.
Enduring a marathon session also means you need to constantly flip between 2 totally different modes of learning. You've got passive studying, which is basically just reading a textbook, and active studying, which is diving into question banks or practice tests. To keep your stamina up, you must balance the two. So for example, you might dedicate 3 hours to passive reading, but follow it up without fail with 1 solid hour of active recall. That active practice is the secret sauce that actually cements your long-term retention.
Moving right along to Section 2, the focus and action traps. You see, even with an awesome routine, it's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of fake studying. Say you set a 2-hour timer. Well, you're only allowed to count the time you are actively focused. The trick here is to force yourself to hit pause on that timer every single time your mind wanders to your evening plans or a movie or a trip to the park. Doing this gives you brutal, honest data about your true endurance. You might sit at your desk for 4 whole hours, but only clock 2 hours of measured actual study time.
Beyond just time tracking, there's a massive trap hiding in your attitude. Take a dreaded subject, like say biostatistics. If you approach a subject you hate with negativity, your brain is going to actively fight you. But by artificially tricking yourself into positivity, literally convincing yourself it's the most fascinating topic in the world, you generate the sheer willpower needed to just open the book and get the job done.
That brings us to Section 3, the law of diminishing returns.
This whole concept really builds into the physical limits of our concentration, which is grounded in the law of diminishing returns. Think about it. The longer you grind on a non-repetitive task, your productivity absolutely plummets over time. In hour 1, you might fly through 50 pages, but by hour 5, despite putting in the exact same effort, you're crawling through just 10 pages. Your returns have diminished to a tiny fraction of your baseline.
So what's the actual biological limit before those returns drop off a cliff? Well, research shows that 2 to 4 hours is pretty much the absolute maximum duration our brains can maintain that deep, continuous focus. Anything beyond that sweet spot in a single sitting, and you're essentially just staring at a wall.
To beat these diminishing returns, you've got to adopt a macro spacing technique throughout your day. It goes like this. Study intensely for 2 hours, completely disconnect and just chill for 4 hours, and then return to study for another 2 hours. By organizing your day this way, you never hit that wall of fatigue, but you get the exact same amount of deep work done. It's a real game changer.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, diagnosing and beating burnout.
Because hey, we're human, right? Sometimes we inevitably push too hard and hit a wall. But before you can treat burnout, you have to honestly diagnose it. Are you losing concentration in basic daily activities? Are you feeling completely bored by subjects you normally love? Pay special attention to that creeping, heavy physical exhaustion, that overwhelming, I just don't want to do it feeling.
If this sounds familiar, you aren't just tired, you're burned out.
Listen, when severe burnout hits, pushing harder is literally the worst thing you can do. Sometimes the absolute most productive move is to just walk away. Taking a few days off to go on a trip, like the Mumbai getaway our medical student took, releases that massive pressure valve. You allow your brain to fully reset, meaning you come back with double the effort and double the efficiency.
Now, I get it. Dropping everything for a big vacation isn't always realistic. And in that case, micro-recoveries are your absolute best friend. Stepping away to do something entirely unrelated to studying, taking a walk outside, trying a new recipe, or just shamelessly binge-watching a show gives your brain some much-needed contrast. Engaging in a novel activity pulls you right out of that academic tunnel vision.
Another massively overlooked cure for burnout? Your physical environment. We totally ignore how ergonomics interact with our bodies over a 10-hour day, but optimizing tiny details plays a huge role in preventing physical burnout. Is your chair actually comfortable? Is your lighting straining your eyes? Sometimes, extending your endurance is as simple as relocating to a well-lit, air-conditioned library.
Finally, let's be real. Studying for hours on end is incredibly lonely, but sharing the journey changes the whole experience. Whether you join global study streamers online or partner up with a friend in person, you create this shared sense of struggle. And by setting a strict mutual goal, like say focusing for 4 hours and then rewarding yourselves with a well-deserved cup of chai, you build an accountability that makes the whole rigorous process way more sustainable.
Ultimately, we really need to redefine what it means to put in the work. Studying shouldn't be some brutal, agonizing test of human suffering. It's meant to be an ergonomic, thoughtfully paced marathon of measured focus and intentional recovery. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Are you going to keep treating your learning like a frantic sprint that destroys your mental health, or are you finally ready to treat it like the strategic marathon it actually is?